Okay, just a second. Okay, so yesterday we had started discussing about secure electronic transactions developed by Visa and MasterCard for protecting the credit card transactions. It will ensure confidentiality, trust, and privacy. Okay, we looked into the various aspects of SCT. We saw the business requirements to provide confidentiality, integrity, authentication, and it ensures best practices. Okay, then interoperability. So these were the business requirements. Then the key features. Then who are the participants involved in a secure electronic transaction? Okay, so what is the role of each participant also we had seen yesterday. Okay, the cardholder, the merchant, the issuer, acquirer, payment gateway, and the CA, the certification authority. Okay, then we also saw the sequence of events for the transaction, wherein the customer needs to open the account. He'll be having the certificate, maintaining two certificates, one for signing purpose and one for key exchange. After that, the customer will place an order. The merchant verifies it. The order and the payment is being made, and the merchant requests payment authorization. Then the merchant confirms the order and provides the goods and services and requests the payment. Okay, we also looked into the key technologies underlying secure electronic transactions. Then we looked at the concept of dual signature. What is this dual signature all about? One feature which was introduced in secure electronic transaction. Dual signature. What is the purpose of dual signature? Can someone tell me the purpose of dual signature? After having a heavy lunch, everybody is sleeping off. Huh? Dual signature, why do we use it? Anshuman, why do we use dual signatures? Okay, so no attendance for those who are not responding. That's it. Nimal, what is the purpose of a dual signature? Okay, so Anshuman and Nimal today no attendance. Okay, so let me, without wasting time, let me tell it myself what the purpose of dual signature is. Okay. Link. Yes, Anshuman, very good. To link two messages, which is meant for two different participants. Okay, so how you create, very good. Okay, so how you create the dual signature is you encrypt the hash, that is a digest, with the secret key of the customer. Okay, and that's how the dual signature is being created. Okay, so yeah, so here we are trying to connect two important pieces of information for two different receivers. What are the pieces of information which we try to link via a dual signature? One is the order information for the merchant, and second one is the payment information for the bank. That is customer to bank. Okay, so I mean, the purpose is only the intended people need to know the various transaction details. Okay, for example, the merchant who is selling the goods and the services, he need not know regarding the credit card number of the customer. Okay, so that's an unnecessary information. Okay, so same way the bank, the bank need not know the order and the quantity of purchase or the, I mean, those kind of details. Okay, so that's the reason why we have this dual signature. Okay, so keep, I mean, extra protection in terms of privacy by keeping the various entities separately. Okay, so that's the reason why we link your order information, OI and PI, that is payment information. Okay, so how it is being done also was discussed in yesterday's class. Okay, making the dual signature, verifying it, the bank also verifying. So as a result, the customer has linked the order information and the payment information, and then he can prove the linkage. Okay, so all these was discussed. Going back. Okay. Okay, so yesterday we started with the SCT transaction types. Okay, so I told you about different types of transaction. Okay, so among these, we will take up 3 different transactions. Okay, so that's regarding the payment processing. Okay, so one is regarding the purchase request, second is regarding the payment authorization, and third one is regarding the payment capture. Okay, so these are the 3 types of transactions. So that is all the payment processing transactions which we are going to see in today's class. Okay, so first one we will start with the purchase request. Purchase request. So you can make a note of this diagram. Okay, so before this is the first request which we are seeing in the process of payment processing. Okay, so before the purchase request exchange is going to start, okay, so the card holder, so he would have already browsed the internet, selected what item he has to buy, and then he would have initiated the ordering process. Okay, so this phase you can call it as the preliminary phase. Okay, so this preliminary phase will end when the merchant in the sense the person who is going to sell the goods and services. So this preliminary phase will end when the merchant sends a completed order form to the customer. Okay, so I mean all these things, whatever I just told, that is the card holder browsing, selecting, ordering, order form to the customer. So all these are things that happens without the use of your secure electronic transaction. There is no SCT involved in it. Okay, so here you can see here the various steps involved in this purchase request. Okay, so you need to initiate a request, you get response for it, then a purchase request and a response for it. So now let us see these things. Okay, the sequence of steps involved in the purchase request. Okay, so when we say the purchase request, I just showed you there are 4 types of messages involved in it, or it is involving exchange of 4 different types of messages. One is the initiate request. Okay, you can see here the initiate request, then the initiate response, the purchase request, and the purchase response. Okay, so in order to send the SCT messages to the merchant, okay, so the card holder, he should have a copy of the certificate of the merchant and the payment gateway. Okay, so the customer will request the certificates in the initiate request message. Okay, so and that message will be sent to the merchant. Okay, so that initiate request message, okay, you can see here the initiate request message, okay, where the customer is requesting the certificates and which is being sent to the merchant. It includes certain things. That's what is mentioned here. So these are the things which are included here. Okay, so the first one will be the customer requests the certificates of the merchant as well as the payment gateway. Then the brand of the credit card that the customer is using, whether it is a MasterCard or a Visa card. Then the ID of the customer. You can see here the ID of the customer and the nonce value. What is this nonce value? Okay, so this ID identification will be assigned to that pair, when the pair in the sense your request response pair by the customer, and a nonce value will be used to ensure, it's basically a random value. It is used to ensure the timeliness. Okay, then after that you have the After this, initiate request message. In response, you have initiate response message. Initiate response message, where these things are included, or what happens in that is the merchant will sign the message with his private signature key, then the nonce from the customer and yet another nonce value by the merchant will be included here. Then another thing involved in it is a transaction ID for that purchase transaction. Then the merchant's signature certificate and the payment gateway's key exchange certificate. Okay, so these are the things included in your initiate response message. Okay, so now the card holder will verify the merchant as well as the gateway certificate by means of with what will they verify it? With their certifying authority signatures. Okay, so once they verify, they will create the order information and the payment information, that is OI and PI. Okay, so after that, the card holder will prepare what is called the purchase request message. Purchase request message. Okay, so I mean, you can see here there are four messages. Okay, initiate request, initiate response. So about these two, I have just mentioned what it is all about and what are the components of it. Then after that, next, the card holder has to prepare what is called the purchase request message. Okay, so that's what is being shown here in this particular slide. Okay, purchase request message. Okay, so this purchase request message, so this will have all the purchase related information. It will have all the purchase related information. Then again, it will also have the order related information. Then it will have the card holder certificate. Okay, so these are the things which form a part of this purchase request message. Okay, so first it will have the purchase related information. These are the three main things which is included: purchase related message, then OI, order related information, and then the card holder's certificate. Okay, so when you say the purchase related information, okay, so the merchant sends this information to the payment gateway. So that is a payment information. Then it will also have the dual signature signed with the customer's private signature key. Okay. Then it will also have the message digest of the order information. Okay. So that is OIMD. So that's needed for the payment gateway to verify the dual signature. Then you have what is called a digital envelope. Okay, so this is actually formed by encrypting the keys with the payment gateway's public key exchange key. Okay, so these are the information which forms a part of the purchase related information. Okay, so then we have the order related information. Order related information. So order related information means this is something what the merchant needs. Okay, merchant needs the order related information. That is the order information, the dual signature, then that is something which will link your OI and PI, and the message digest of the payment information, and finally the card holder's certificate. Okay, so these are the components of your purchase request message. Okay, so when the merchant is going to receive the purchase request message, okay, so it will be performing certain actions. So let's see what are those actions now. Okay, so these are the set of actions which are being performed. Okay, so Okay, so when you say the purchase merchant is processing the response, I mean purchase response message. Okay, so that it will contain the response block. Just a second. Okay, so we are discussing the purchase request message. Okay, so when you're saying the merchant is processing the purchase request message, so it will have so many things. Okay, so the process involved is a verification of the cardholder certificate by means of the certifying authority signature, then verifying the dual signature using the customer's public signature key, then processing of the order and forwarding the payment information to the payment gateway, then sending the purchase response message to the cardholder. Okay, then your purchase response message. Okay, so this is the fourth one. I hope you remember this one. Purchase response message. I'm telling about this. The last one, the fourth message. Okay, so that will contain the response block, and the merchant's signature certificate. Okay, so the response block is assigned by the merchant using its private signature key. Okay, so the block and its signature. Okay, so both are sent to the customer along with the merchant's signature certificate. Okay, so when the card holder software receives the purchase response message, it will verify the merchant's certificate and then verifies the signature on the response block. Okay, so that's what this part. Okay, so when the cardholder purchase, I mean, processes the purchase response message, what happens is you verify the merchant certificate and then verify the signature on the response block. Okay, so finally, it will take some action based on the response. Something like it could be displaying a message to the user or updating a database with a status of the order. Okay, so some sort of action will happen as a result of this response. Okay, so the next, okay, next is regarding payment authorization. Payment authorization. So this is the second one to be considered. Okay. Okay, so we were this. Okay, so we discussed the purchase request right now. Okay, so all the various steps involved in this payment part of payment processing. Okay, so now it is all about authorizing and then capturing. Capturing is actually debiting or crediting your account, whatever. Okay, so now let's see what happens in this payment authorization stage. Okay, that is exchange between the merchant and the payment gateway to authorize a given amount for a purchase on a particular credit card account. Okay, so now let's see what happens in this payment authorization. Okay, so what is authorizing? You can say approving. Okay, so you can say this payment authorization will ensure that the transaction is actually approved by the issuer. Transaction is actually approved by the issuer. Okay, so it is actually some sort of guarantee that that merchant, whoever is selling the goods and services, is going to receive the payment. Okay, so the merchant can therefore provide, I mean, after on receipt of payment, that particular merchant can therefore provide the goods and services in return to the customer. Okay, so when you say payment authorization, it is basically an exchange of two messages. So you can see here, one is the authorization request message, and the second one is authorization response message. Okay, so request and response. Okay, this is the merchant computer and this is the payment gateway. Okay. Okay, so when you say a authorization request, authorization request message, okay, so I mean, what happens? Okay, so it is basically the merchant will be sending an authorization request message to the payment gateway, and it will have, yeah, you can see here the merchant sending a authorization request. Merchant is sending an authorization request to the payment gateway, and what are the things involved in it? Okay, so you will have three main types of information as a part of this. So one is the purchase related information, second one is the authorization related information, and third one is the certificates involved. Okay, so payment related, authorization related, and certificate related. Okay, so when you say I mean purchase related, definitely it will be the purchase information or payment information, then the dual signature, then the message digest of the order information, and the digital envelope. Then the authorization related information means the authorization block that includes the transaction ID and plus the digital envelope. Okay, so when you say the certificates, okay, so the card holders signature key certificate, whatever is used to verify your dual signature. Okay, then the merchant's signature key. Okay, that is basically to verify the merchant signature in the authorization of block. Okay, so and again the merchant's key exchange certificate. Okay, that is in response to the payment gateways. Okay, so these are the things involved in the authorization request message. Okay, then what is the next message involved in payment authorization? So payment request we have done. So in response, I should get, I mean, authorization request we have done. So in response, I should get back a authorization response. Authorization response. So a glance at what are the actions happening at the payment gateway after receiving the authorization request message. So you verify the certificates. Okay, so you decrypt the digital envelope to obtain the symmetric key, and then you decrypt the authorization block. You verify the merchant signature on the block, then you decrypt the digital envelope of the payment block to obtain the symmetric key. Then you verify the dual signature on the payment block. You verify the transaction ID and then request and receive the information from the issuer. Okay, so these are the sequence of actions happens in the payment gateway after receiving the authorization request messages. Okay, what are all the sequence of things that happens? Okay, so then in response to that, we have what is called the authorization response message. Authorization response message, authorization request and authorization response. Okay, so authorization response message will have all these information. Okay, so one is the authorization related information. Okay, so now you will have all the authorization related information, the token information, that capture token information, and the certificate. Okay, so when you say the authorization related information, these are the two things involved in it. The authorization block, basically signed with the payment gateway's private key signature key, and encrypted with a one-time symmetric key generated by the payment gateway. Then it will also have a digital envelope that contains the one-time symmetric key encrypted with the merchant's public key exchange key. Okay, then you have what is called the capture token information. Okay, so that will also have a capture token along with the digital envelope. Okay, so the capture token is basically signed with the payment gateway's private key and encrypted with the newly generated one-time symmetric key. Okay, then finally you have the certificate. Okay, so the payment gateways signature key certificate. Okay, so now this step has also come to an end. Okay, so that is with the authorization from the gateway, the merchant can provide the goods and services to the customer. Are you all listening? No one is listening, huh? Strength of 51 in the class and nobody is listening.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. The usual yes, ma'ams are there. What about others? Ila, listening in class? Ila Raj,
Yes, ma'am.
there in class?
Listening, ma'am.
Okay, okay, not sleeping. I'm happy. Okay, right. 263 Karthikeyan is there? 263 Karthikeyan. He will have to give his attendance. Okay, I'm happy. Yes, I heard you. So you are listening, right? Please listen. Okay, right. So next we move on to the last one. The last request message in the payment process. That's nothing but your payment capture. Capturing the payment, debiting and or crediting the account, obtaining the payment. That's the better way to say. Obtaining the payment. Okay. So here also we have two messages. Okay. So to obtain the payment, okay, the merchant will engage the payment gateway in the payment capture transaction, which basically consists of two messages. One is called the capture request message, and the next one is called the capture response message. Capture request and capture response. Okay, so when it comes to capture request message, okay, so what happens is the merchant will generate, sign, and he will also make it confidential, that is encrypt a capture request block. Okay, so that capture request block will have two things. One is the payment amount and the transaction ID. Okay, so uh, when the merchant generates, signs, and encrypts the capture request block, it will be including the payment amount and the transaction ID. Okay, so then the capture response message. Okay, capture response message. So it will have the capture response block, signed and encrypted, the digital envelope, and the certificate. Okay, then finally the merchant stores the capture responses to be used for reconciliation with the payment received from the acquirer. What is this reconciliation? In case some claims are being made regarding some damage or non-receipt or whatever, so that can be used for that reconciliation purpose. And then, it will be used with the payment received from the acquirer. Okay, so that completes the payment process. Okay, so we have come to an end of SET. Okay, so end of SET means end of fourth unit also. Okay, so this topic was the last topic what we discussed in today's class. So that was the last topic of the fourth unit. Okay, so now let me take attendance. Okay, answer your attendance. Just go through whatever we have done in the fourth unit. So, answer your attendance. Ayushi,
Present, ma'am.
Rason,
Present, ma'am.
Sarthak,
Present, ma'am.
Pranay Matthew,
Present, ma'am.
Rishon, 31. Okay, noted. Anshuman,
Present, ma'am.
Rajanish Yadav.
Present, ma'am.
Anshuman, where were you when I called out for a question to answer a question? That time it was mic problem. Vedika, okay, noted. Manthan Shah,
Present, ma'am.
Aman Vora,
Present, ma'am.
Shaktiya,
Present, ma'am.
Vaishak Nair,
Present, ma'am.
Amrita,
Present, ma'am.
Malavika. Malavika is absent. Megha Sinha,
Present, ma'am. 82 present, ma'am.
who is it? 82. Okay, Nikita Das is present. Fine. Sai Gopal,
Present, ma'am.
Shreya,
Present, ma'am.
Gayatri. Okay, noted. Akash Deep. Akash is absent. Ila,
Present, ma'am.
Ma'am, 73 present, ma'am. I just rejoined, ma'am.
who is it? 73. Malavika. Okay, Malavika. Fine.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
93.
Present,
Sarangaraja.
ma'am.
Jitender.
Present, ma'am.
Jitender.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Rajagopalan.
Present, ma'am.
Binoy.
Present, ma'am.
Nimal Kumar.
Ma'am, Nimal Kumar, present, ma'am.
Okay, Nimal. Noted. Karthikeyan.
Present, ma'am.
Ashwini. Okay, noted. Arjun. (142) Arjun is absent. Akash Kumar Singh.
Present, ma'am.
Venkat. Venkat. Venkat is absent. Mitra Lakshmi.
Present, ma'am.
Aparna.
Present, ma'am.
Akansha Singh.
Present, ma'am.
Mihika.
Present, ma'am.
Vignesh.
Present, ma'am.
Swastik Johari.
Present, ma'am.
Jagadeep.
Present, ma'am.
Karthikeyan.
Ma'am, present, ma'am.
Abdul Ahad. 267. Abdul Ahad is absent. Yashwant Parashar. Okay, noted. Then Shruti, A section.
Present, ma'am.
Ryan.
Present, ma'am.
Deepanshu Kumar.
Present, ma'am.
Vishal. Okay, noted. Nitish.
Present, ma'am.
Shruti Kaushik.
Yes, ma'am.
Darshini. Okay. Fatima.
Present, ma'am.
Sai Satish. Sai
Present.
Satish is absent. Okay, noted. Okay. Santosh.
Present, ma'am.
Jeevesh.
Present, ma'am.
Nityashri. Okay. Anybody who has not got attendance? Okay. So with that, we come to an end of the 4th unit. We'll just have a quick revision. Revision of the various topics, what we have seen in the 4th unit. Okay. So what was the major topic under discussion in 4th unit? Can you tell me? What was the major topic of discussion? I'm asking the heading of the unit. What was it concentrating on, or what was the major topic under discussion in 4th unit? This is depressing. When I ask you what was discussed in the 4th unit, nobody knows about it. Under yes, SSL, TLS, all those things come under one big umbrella, one big topic, under which we learned all these things. It is nothing but web security. Okay, how to provide security to the data that is being transmitted over the network. Network in the sense we are web security means providing security to the World Wide Web. Okay, so that was the topic under consideration. That is the gist of your 4th unit. Okay, it is all about web security, providing web security, because web is something which will be presenting new challenges. On a day-to-day basis, vulnerable to attack. Okay, and even the web servers over the internet, they are all vulnerable to a lot of attacks. Okay, so and then as you know, web server, when you say web www, it is nothing but a client and a server application running over the internet and across your TCP/IP intranets. Okay, so web security is something which is very, very important. Okay, so so that was the significance of your web security, because internet has become a platform for business transactions, for product information. So reputation can be lost and money can be lost in case your web servers are being sabotaged. Okay, so that's the reason why we discussed the topic of discussion is around what is called web security. Okay, so when you say web security, we first looked into what are the types of threats, web security threats, which we classified it as passive attack and active attack. Okay, so what is attack all about? Attacking means you are trying to gain access to the data by some unauthorized users. Okay, so with the purpose of either modifying the data or for destroying the data. Okay, so when you compare this active attack and passive attack, the final attack, the final impact will be more in the case of your active attack when compared to your passive attack. So passive attack means you're just accessing the data. You're not, no modifying is being done. You're just seeing the information, then that information will be passed on to some other place. But then you are not just accessing the data. Okay, so that's what is called your passive attack. Okay, so what are the different types of passive attacks? Do you remember? Can somebody tell me what are the different types of passive attacks? What is this? Arjun rejoined. At the end of the class, you tell me. I cannot be taking the attendance every now and then. Whoever has not got, you can tell me at the end. Vishal, what is this passive attack? Or what are the types of passive attacks? Vishal? Okay, I'll start marking absent. Can somebody else tell me what what are the different types of passive attacks? Rajneesh? Okay, I will mark all these people. Okay, so some responses come. Email trafficking. Then you are checking the email, telephonic conversation, you're overhearing. Okay, just accessing the information by a third party. That's what is your passive attack is all about. It could either be some release of the message content, okay, or it's also called, another name for it is eavesdropping. Okay, what is this? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay. So the attacker is trying to eavesdrop or snoop onto your conversations. Okay, so that's what the passive attack is all about. Then we have what is called the traffic analysis. So that also comes under passive attack, traffic analysis. Okay, so what basically happen is analysis. You're analyzing the frequency and the length of the messages that are getting exchanged. Okay, so that information might be useful in basically guessing the nature of the communication that was taking place. Okay, or maybe to identify who was the communicating host, or you can even determine the location. Okay, so you are just analyzing the messages being exchanged. Okay, that's when we call it them as passive attack. Okay, then what are the different types of active attacks? Active attacks.
Denial of service.
Very good.
Master.
Yes. Very good, very good. First one is denial of service, disrupting the services with the intent of bringing the server down, disrupting the services sent by the server. That's all. I mean, that was about denial. What about replay attack? Replay. So, I mean, the sender will be sending the message to the receiver, but then that same message, somebody else will have access to it, and that's somebody else. You can say the third party. So, the third party will modify the message, okay, and then send to the receiver. Okay, so receiver will be receiving the message twice, one from the original sender, and another one will be the modified message from the unauthorized third party. Okay, so the person will not be knowing from, I mean, which is the actual message or which is the proper message. Okay, so again and again receiving the message is what is called your replay. Okay, so that was the different types of web security threat. Of course, we had discussed about network layer threat somewhere else. All those IP address spoofing and all that was in the first unit. Okay, so out here it is all about your web security threat. Okay, so the various approaches towards it. Okay, then, yeah, the layers of security, where exactly, okay, it is coming into picture. So you can see here, SSL and TLS. It's a family of protocol for implementing the so-called web security. Okay, so either it could be configured as a part of the underlying protocol suite, or it could be embedded in some specific package. For example, your browsers like your Microsoft Explorer or your Netscape Navigator, they all come with SSL included in it, embedded in it. Okay, so and these are the various things. Then, okay, so I told you what this SSL is all about, protocol for web security. Okay, so the history of it. Then, yeah, the two important aspects. One is establishing a session, and second is transfer application data. Okay, so before that, we discussed about two important concepts associated with this one, your SSL. What were the two important concepts discussed? One is about what is a connection, and another one is what is a session. Okay, so connection means between two clients, between the client or the server or whatever. Okay, so session means it is temporarily for the time period, for some certain period of time. Okay, so based on the session, actually the client and the server will be communicating. Okay, so then if you remember, I think I'm not sure whether I gave this example or not. So when you're using this internet banking services, okay, say you log into your net banking and keep that net banking site ideal for 4 to 5 minutes. Okay, so you will automatically get the message that your session has been expired. Okay, then you will have to re-log in to make use of the services. Okay, so when you say session, session is something which consists of a number of connections. Okay, and that sessions are created by which protocol? SSL is a two-layer protocol which is consisting of so many protocols, no? So sessions are created by which protocol? Any idea? Sessions are created by which protocol? Handshaking protocol. Okay, so when you say a session, so that will be identified by certain parameters like your session identifier, the peer certificate, or sometimes sometimes compression technique might be applied, Okay, then whether it is resumable, master secret, so which is nothing but the secret key which is being shared between the client and the server. Then again, your cipher specifications also. Okay, cipher specifications. Okay, it was here. Your SSL connection and SSL session. Okay, you can see here the parameters associated with the session and the parameters associated with the connection. Okay, so you can see here the SSL protocol suite. Okay, SSL protocol suite, which is having a record protocol, handshaking protocol, change cipher specification protocol, and alert protocol, all existing. So then we started discussing. This is I mean, commonly we call it as the protocol stack, SSL protocol stack. Okay, so then we looked into each of these protocols in detail. We saw the SSN record protocol. What does this record protocol do? It takes the application data, fragments it, compresses it optionally, then it will add an authentication code, it will encrypt it and prepend it with the SSL record header. Okay, so that's what your record protocol operation is all about. Then we have what is called the change cipher specification protocol, something which will help you to the pending states to be copied onto the current state. Okay, so 1 byte protocol, generally it will be having the value equal to 1. Okay, so the next you have what is called the alert protocol, alerting. Okay, alerting categorized into 2. It could either be a warning message. If it is a warning message, it can still be continued as such, or it could be a fatal message. If it is, in case it's a fatal message, you have to pack up everything, then no more connections will be established. Okay, so it will be terminating the connection and new connections cannot be established. Okay, so that's regarding a fatal message. Okay, so these are the fatal alerts. Fatal alerts, it could be an unexpected message or a bad record or a decompression failure or a hard handshake failure or some illegal parameters. Okay, so these are the notifications. Okay, then we looked into the handshaking protocol. Handshaking protocol that will help the client to authenticate each other, negotiate on what type of encryption and MAC algorithms are being used in order to provide security to the data that is being sent embedded in your SSL record. Okay, so I mean, these are the 3 fields: the type, the length, the content. Okay, then we saw the different phases of handshake protocol in action. This is very, very, very important, along with the diagram. Okay, phase 1, what happens? You can see the sequence of message exchanges happening in the various phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. Okay, client telling a hello, server responding back. Then the ones which are shown in the gray color, they're all optional. That is certification. Certificates, I mean, used only if it is requested. Okay, so you're establishing security capabilities. Okay, that is some sort of logical connection is being used and establish the security capability that is associated with it. Okay, so then key exchange methods, what are being supported, are looked into. And then rather than using, I mean, they both agree on the same technique. Okay, so it could either be a RSA key or a Diffie-Hellman key, or it could be a one-time secret key which is called ephemeral key, or it could be some anonymous. Okay, then server authentication and key exchange. Then we have the client authentication and key exchange. Then finally the finish stage. Okay, then we saw the simplified SSL TLS architecture with Alice Bob example. Then how the session resumption takes place and other things. Then the authentication, the public key deployment, Then regarding negotiating the cipher suits, what basically is a cipher suit and all those things we had discussed, issues. Okay. Then we looked into the attacks. What were the different attacks? Downgrading attack and truncation attack. Then the exportability issues. Okay. Then the encodings. Then finally, what are the different components of this? Okay. Then finally, we looked into the secure electronic transaction. So with that, we come to an end of the 4th unit. So next class, we will start with the 5th unit. Right. Thank you.